Alright, so this is my third attempt at making this video, so hopefully third time's a charm. So maybe I'll get it right this time. Okay, so as I mentioned in my last video that I shared that from now on I'll try to post a few more videos as opposed to sharing an update once in 6 months or something like, oh sorry, once in a couple of years. So following that, I'll make another video. So like my last video, in this video as well, I'll talk a bit about the state of the property market here in Sydney, or for that matter in Australia, and then I'll talk about some of the things that I'm doing at work using GitHub Copilot and to help boost our productivity. All right. So the property markets, for those of you who live in Sydney, you would know that we've had a few interest rate hikes in the last couple of months, as well as some major changes announced by the government to the capital gains tax, as well as capital gains tax discount, as well as the negative gearing. So for those of you who don't know exactly what negative gearing is, maybe I could make another video for it, or you could perhaps look it up do an online search, and then find out a bit more about it yourself. But if you'd like to know more about negative gearing from me, please leave a comment or something, and I'm happy to share more about that. But okay, so how have these changes impacted the property market? So have they impacted at all? So yes, they have impacted. They've had an impact, and what's happened is, so a couple of months ago, as I mentioned in my earlier video, it was extremely competitive. Every open home had like a ton of potential buyers. So every open home that you go to, it will just be that much more competitive. There'll be like multiple people putting in offers and trying to outbid each other. And that was happening. A lot of that was happening. So obviously I've talked about that in detail in my previous video. So you can just, if you want to know more about that, have a look at that. But now with these changes to the interest rates and the negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount, there are just not that many buyers at the moment in the market. So effectively there's less competition. So for an open home that you're going to, you're not competing against that many people that you would have been, it had been like a few months ago. So what I've heard from some of the agents that I know is that they are still selling houses, only there's less competition now. So previously, when say there'd be like 40 people turn up to an open home, now maybe 4 or 5 people turn up. And this, I reckon, is a great opportunity for anyone looking to get into the property market. So if you think about it in terms of investment, or if you think about it as an upgrade to wherever you're living, to move into something bigger, nicer, or something, now is a great time, because you could find a decent bargain, you can find a good property, and you could negotiate the price. You could negotiate it to your liking, and you should be able to, well, hopefully you should be able to get something that you want. So that's the state at which we are in right now. So yeah, it's a good opportunity. So I reckon you should definitely go for this. But just the one thing though, like, please go in with realistic expectations. Now, if you are thinking that all of these changes means that the property prices will be like cheaper by 100,000 or 150,000, no, that hasn't quite happened yet, and I'm not sure if it will happen, because that's a pretty major drop and that will affect the industry in a pretty big way. So make sure you go in with realistic expectation. Have a chat with your loved ones, and then think about a location where you want to go for it, and then just target that location. Or maybe if you want to spread it out, maybe spread it out, but then have a target and have a set price in mind. And if you feel any house a bit over the range that you are looking for, then that's okay. Let it go. If somebody else wants to pay more for it, that's fine. You let them pay for it. You stick to your guns. You stick to your limits, and it's important When you go in, you know your limits, and you stick to it irrespective of how much you like the house. So yeah, that's it. That was a little bit of extra advice, and probably not. Um, uh, Maybe I should have gone there, but now you know. All right, so if you're not occupied, it's a good opportunity. If you're an investor, do not be deterred or do not be discouraged by the changes that they've announced. I reckon it's still a good opportunity for you to get into the market and for you to secure an investment. Uh, is there a risk? Yes, it is risk. Every investment, every venture, every business venture, every investment is a risk, and obviously there's pros and cons to it. But now, if you're worried too much about the money that you'd lose because of some of the changes, think about it this way. Say you get a property, you buy investment, and then a few years down the line, the price appreciated by like 500k. But now the profits that you make will be like say 400k. And obviously before these changes announced, you would have made maybe you would have made like 480 or 490k or maybe all 500, and now you now you only make 400k, but that's still 400k more than you not having done anything at all, or if you let this opportunity go. And when I say 405k, these are purely arbitrary numbers. I'm just giving, I'm really literally just quoting numbers here. It could be anything. It could be lesser. It could be high. It's really up to you and what you go for. So this is arbitrary numbers. The only thing that I'm trying to stress at is that it is risky, yes, but if you feel you've got the opportunity to do so, if you've got the capability to do so, then go for it. Do not be discouraged by these changes and the interest rate hikes. Okay, so that's pretty much all I want to say about the property market. Of course, if you want to know more about this, you're welcome to reach out to me, leave a comment, or you can message me directly. Either way, it's fine. I'm always happy to talk about this, and I'd love the opportunity to have a chat with you and then find out more about what you want. And if at all there's some advice that I can give you, as I've said before, my pain, your gain. Okay, so now moving on, I'll talk about my day job. Now, in my day job, a month ago, I moved to a new project. And that new project has its own set of challenges. Of course, previously, before being on this project, I was actually on the chatbot for the company chatbot, and used across all our brands. But now, the application that I'm on, I'm just trying to think about it. It's really different. It's one of the most unique applications that I worked on in my career, and I'm really just trying to find words. I suppose the best I can describe this is an event-driven geospatial application. So we've got a combination of data. We've got both spatial data and temporal data, and there's just a lot of everything. There are a lot of technologies in here. It's a mishmash of heaps and heaps of technologies, or AWS services for that matter, and for whatever, and it all just works. It all works really, really well. For the function of that application, it does it really well. It's a really well built application, and it works. And there's everything, and it's a bit of a learning curve for me as well, because I haven't really worked in this sort of app before, and not just the event driven stuff, but there is a lot of relational databases. When I say relational databases, I mean like a lot of stored procedures and indexing, and yeah, some 3D geometry, and there's a lot going on. So anyway, so as I started on this project, of course, the way this project operates, it's sort of like you've got to hit the ground running. Yes, I'm in a corporate, but there's a bit of a startup environment here. And you've got to hit the ground running. You've just got to keep pushing forward and forward and forward because there's this constant stream of work, which is exciting in its own right. But in all of this work, and in the push to just, release features and all of that, one of the things that I actually came across was the fact that we do have technical debt. And as an organization, we have a certain standard for quality that we need to maintain in our applications, and this needed a bit of uplift in that area, just given the pace of this project. So for that uplift, so obviously the goal that the bit that I had in my mind was that, okay, how can I keep up with the delivery and the feature delivery, and as well as what can I do to maintain, try to uplift the quality and bring it up to the standard that we want it to be. So thankfully we have GitHub Copilot. So this is another use of GitHub Copilot, and what I did here was that I carefully crafted a multi-agent pipeline that would basically ensure the quality of this project stays to a certain standard. So it's just the way I've built it is I've got to trigger this agent pipeline, and what these agents will do is, like, there's a bunch of agents, and they will analyze the coverage of it, like what's the coverage, what the test coverage, and then they'll write some tests, and they'll repeat the test, and they'll rewrite, and so on and so forth. There's the entire pipeline that I've defined in there that would just do all the work, so the rest of the team can continue focusing on the feature delivery, some of the important things that we're working on, and things things like performance optimizations and so on and so forth. So this was great. Now, how did I do that? So maybe I can share a bit more details on that. And obviously, I will write a detailed blog post on this. So I defined a bunch of agents, and I combined them through a skill. So if you use GitHub Copilot, and I'm not sure if this applies to all the other AI tools, but then in GitHub Copilot, you can define like your Copilot instructions.md file, and then you can have like your custom prompts, and skill is another thing. So you can have a custom skill. Now, a skill is basically a high-level generalization. A custom prompt is specific to a repo. A skill is something a bit more general, a bit more generic. So this is a skill which would basically orchestrate a bunch of different agents who can, work together and bring up the unit test coverage, bring up the quality of the application to a certain standard. So it's a set of autonomous agents, and all you've got to do is just kick off that pipeline, kick off that goal, and it will just continue working. And then before you know it, it will basically bring the quality up to a certain level. And one of the things that I did was obviously in the first iteration that I shipped, it was all sorts of magic that was happening. But then I was like, you know what? We need to have a bit more idea about what these agents are doing, because there's a bunch of people, not people. These are a bunch of agents that they're working together. We need to have some visibility in exactly what they're doing. So, of course, I'm talking about observability. So I added some observability to it. So it writes out these log files of exactly what they did, how many tests they wrote, who reviewed what, and how did the whole package come together. So that further enhances this workflow, and also helps us gain a bit more confidence on it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all. I'll write a post on this, and I'll share that. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your time, and my parting words would be, if you are a prospective investor and you've been putting this off for some time, now's your chance. Please try to get into the market. It's a great opportunity, and you could snap a bargain. Please just talk to your mortgage broker or something, have that conversation, and talk to your family, your loved ones, your partner, whatever, and then it's not a bad time to get it. I would highly recommend it. And if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you haven't already automated any workflow in your workplace, use the AI tools to do so. So wish you well, live long and prosper.